guys, gals, and everything in between. That is right. Instead of the Heisenberg shirt like last time, rocking the Better Call Saul shirt. Figured, makes sense. Gotta get the Better Call Saul on, because Saul is my dude. I didn't even realize this. I don't know if you guys realize this, but holy crap. Nacho in Better Call Saul is Voss from Far Cry 3. I know, right? I know. Gotta give you a moment. Mind blown. So, I am so excited to sort of like recap, discuss another episode of Better Call Saul. This one was indeed called Nacho. So it basically leads off the second that the last episode ended, but what was cool is they showed a flashback. These kinds of shows created by Vince Gilligan, they tend to love their flashbacks, I've noticed. And guess what? This one's no exception. Which means we now see that guy I thought was his dad was indeed his brother, and Saul was in jail. Why was Saul in jail? I have some theories that he became a criminal defense lawyer because Saul has a past in the criminal world, and I personally think that that's why he almost has like a relation to them. Like, he feels like he's one of them. And I think that's a very interesting dynamic, because you still love Saul, and they kind of hint at what he did, and you're like, you're a bad dude. Are you really a criminal? Like, Saul might be a villain this whole time. Like, in Breaking Bad, I always thought he was just like a lawyer who happened to be really smarmy and was willing to work for these people because he needed the work and he kind of had the skills. But I think in this one, maybe he sees kind of like a sort of like connection there with the criminal side, and I thought that was really awesome, in the sense that they might be trying to almost make it deeper than that. And so then when we're back in modern day, Saul is, you can tell he's very uneasy about the whole visit from Nacho. I just want to call him Voss now. And so Saul calls up his friend, the blonde girl. They never really established her in the other episodes. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but they never really established her character. She's just sort of there now. And I'm just like, well, that's a thing. Alright, keep going. No clue what her name is, but she's in the show now. And they seem to have like this semi-romantic connection where they're not quite romantic with each other, but they're sometimes, like an on and off kind of thing. And they're talking back and forth, and he finally lets it slip. And he says, the family might be in danger. And so she's like, well, why? And he's like, oh, I'm drunk, whatever. Hangs up, and then drives out into the middle of nowhere, and then calls on the payphone. I thought it was fantastic that he was using the thing, and he was trying to like almost make it sound like it was muffled, that they're in trouble, to like hide his voice and all these other things. And then, on top of all of this, Saul is then warning them, and finally they look outside and they do see somebody there. And, of course, they're kidnapped. And Saul finds out about it and hurries down there, and basically they're like, isn't it a little bit convenient that you're warning of maybe something could happen to them, and now all of a sudden they just disappear? And he's like, funny coincidence, right? Right? He's freaking out because they may have seen him there, and so he wants to call Nacho. And he's at the payphone, and he's calling him, leaving messages. Hey man, I just want you to know that there's not a problem here. And someone answers, doesn't say anything, and hangs up. And you're just like, what just happened? Oh my god. Not gonna lie, that's when the episode hit. Because it was fairly comedic off and on. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just hits with this serious tone, and you're on the edge of your seat, and you're like, all right, it's going, and you're just drawn to the screen because it's so intense. There's these people, and he's like, oh, they're clearly cartel, and they arrest him. They're the cops, because their prime suspect, Voss / Nacho, is in custody. He's the lead suspect. He was scoping out the place. And then all of a sudden, he calls for Saul Goodman. So why would the prime suspect call for Saul Goodman when he called to warn somebody else? And I like that they take it to he goes there, and they talk, and he's like, I didn't do it. So all of a sudden you have this intrigue, and you're like, well, I almost strangely believe Nacho in a way. I don't know why, but I believe Nacho. And Saul does too. And this is where we see the lawyer side of Saul Goodman coming out. And it's really, really cool. That he's fighting for his criminal client. He's fighting for their innocence. And, of course, there's some more witty banter with Mike Ehrmantraut, which is always hilarious. And then Saul finally goes to the crime scene and notices that the girl in all the pictures has the doll. And he's like, well, why would the girl take the doll if she was being kidnapped? And the police were just like, whatever, you idiot. And this is where the problems arise, because then he's like, no, this is actually, like, I might actually have something here for once in my life. And you're like, I binge watch enough Criminal Minds on Netflix to know that that is some kind of evidence. And so Saul goes back and, Mike Ehrmantraut and him have a bit of a squabble, and Mike Ehrmantraut just kicks the piss out of him, essentially. And so he goes back and explains the same story. But here's the big kicker, is Mike hears this story and then refuses to press charges because he believes. And Saul says, wait, why did you do it? You believe in me, don't you? And Mike says, yes, I do. Because here's what happened to me when I worked on the force. So it clicks a light bulb on with Saul, because on the back of their car is like a camping with a family little bumper sticker. And so Saul goes out into the desert over by their house, and lo and behold, they're camping there. And they get in a fight because they don't want to go back, but Saul needs them to go back for his own safety, and then the bag rips with the money, and you're like, oh, yes, I knew it, and then out of nowhere, episode end, and you're like, God dang it, this is the part where I'm supposed to skip to the next episode on Netflix, god dang it, which is why I've watched so many episodes of Criminal Minds. This episode is fantastic, because you get this, like, humorous stuff in the beginning, and then it just hits, and it doesn't stop. This has that perfect pacing of a television show that a show needs. Saul is villains with Saul and Tuco are kind of like villains, unless Tuco doesn't appear anymore, I'm not sure. And Nacho, which means, we all know that Tuco lives in Breaking Bad. Spoiler alert for Breaking Bad, I suppose. Oops. But Tuco is there, but I didn't see Nacho ever. I mean, maybe he was. I don't remember him there. So, I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's exciting, because normally in a prequel, you know what's going to happen. But we don't know in this one. And so what is Nacho going to do? What's going to happen? What is going to happen with Saul? I think this crime background might come out of him a little bit, and I don't necessarily think he's going to do something like Heisenberg, which is like wreck human lives, but I think that Saul's going to use his wit. And that's one thing that excites me about the show, is I see it as almost like Breaking Bad meets Doctor Who with no sci-fi. Because Saul is going to use his wit, he's going to use all of his clever lawyering abilities to do these things. So, I'm pumped. What do you guys think is going to be next? I personally think that the hunt is on, That it's going to kind of be this cat and mouse game between Saul, the cartel, and them trying to figure out if he's actually working for them to try and, frame these people, and the whole money thing's going to have to come out. Are they going to have to cover it up? So many questions, so little time. Guys, gals, and everything in between, as usual, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really hope you've enjoyed my reviews/discussions, and I can't wait to see you next time.